Now, what I'd like you to do is grab your brush tool one more time and draw out 3 wavy lines here. You see how Illustrator, by the way, is remembering the last brush that I had used. Okay? I'll highlight all 3 lines here, and then inside my brushes palette, I'd like you to use this guy right here, my little banner brush. Now this guy's kind of unique because he's almost like a little piece of artwork on his own. It's kind of a neat brush that you can work with here. I'm going to space these apart a little bit, and I think what I'll do too is just zoom out a touch so you can see what's happening here. Now, there's things that I can do in terms of editing these brushes. What I think I'll do is I'll highlight the first guy here, and then down at the bottom of my brushes palette, I have a little options button. So I'll click on this guy. That brings me into the options for this specific path, or this specific brush stroke, if you want to call it that. Inside the options dialog box, make sure preview is turned on. And let's see here, I have a width setting. Try clicking inside your width field there, and then try using Shift and your up arrow, and that will increase the width of your brush stroke there. Or of course I can use Shift and my down arrow if I want to make that a little bit thinner. I can use this proportional option here. What that guy does is gives me the brush as it was originally created, gives me the artwork, I should say, as it's originally created. I can also flip it along and flip it across. Think of flip up down and flip left right if you're familiar with those commands. And I also have some colorization options as well. I can go tints, tints and shades, and there's one called hue shift as well, which isn't giving me too much of an effect here. I'll go back to none. Now, when I hit OK, I'm only affecting this one brush. The others remain the same. So, if I want to make a change to just one instance of a brush, I select it and then I click on the options button at the bottom of the brushes palette. But what if I want to affect all of my brushes? Well, what I can do is I can double click on the brush inside the brushes palette. That gives me my art brush options, and I'll have many of the same options that I just had a moment ago in the previous dialog box. So I can come in here and adjust the width of all of my banners all in one shot. What I'm doing is I'm actually changing the brush. I can do the flip along and flip across. I have my colorization methods as well. And the other thing that I can do is I can adjust the direction that the path is going in. Now, we'll come back to this in a little bit. Now, when I click on OK, what happens is all of my brushes change. Now, I didn't really make much of a change there, but you can certainly experiment with this on your own. Okay, one final thing to show you here, and I should have shown you this earlier, these paths that have brushes applied to them. I have my black arrow tool here, and that means that when I scale and change my path, the brush that's associated to the path also scales and readjusts itself. So just keep that in mind as you're working along.